Thank you, Glenn, for that reading. Just a quick note on the praise for the Summers Family Choir, who gets about 20 to 30 minutes to practice before they start and yet provide that beautiful music. So thank you to you. On the scripture that was read by Glenn, the first reading from Genesis, it continues to go on to say, Abraham asks if 20 people are found to be righteous in the city, would he save the city? And he says yes. If 10 people, if one person were found to be righteous in the city, would he save the city? And he goes on to say yes, he would save the city if I find one righteous person. This would be an important component as we get a little later in the sermon. So this sermon will be you can expect it will be an interactive one, screen heavy, so apologize to Carrie. We'll be jumping back and forth. Today's sermon, Living in Difference. So what does that mean? If you're sitting there curious as to what that means, you're in luck, because I have a sermon on it written today, so glad you asked. But first, we're going to play a game. It's going to be fun. So, this game is called the Discomfort Game. I know you're all excited for this. All right, so the rules of the game are raise your hand whenever a category that you associate with or identify with it matches you. For example, here's an easy one. Any Giants fans out there? New York Giants. Okay. Any New York Jets fans out there? Okay, all right. So at this time, we're going to take a moment to pray for those who just raised their hands. They've suffered endlessly for years and years of pain they endure on an annual basis. All right. Seriously though, back to the game. Here we go. All right, so the first category is pizza toppings. Please raise your hand if you're ordering a pizza and you prefer mushroom. Okay, wow. Oh, yeah, I know my daughter Julie prefers mushroom. She's good. Pepperoni. Wow, it's even. I'm surprised it's fairly even. Sausage. Wow. Meat lovers here. Okay, love it. Plain. Anybody just goes for plain? Yeah. Okay. All right. I forgot to mention there is one other aspect to this game. Here we go. It's called the discomfort level meter. Now, we paid a lot of money for this. Council approved it. We're all good. It'll be in the budget. You're set. But it's a high technology going on here. So what this meter is meant to show is the level of discomfort that any given question is going to ask. So let's try this again. We'll go through this first question again. All right, so mushroom, again, pepperoni, sausage. Doesn't really matter, not much discomfort level. I should have asked, anchovies?
Oh.
Whoa, okay. Apparently there are some people not comfortable with the anchovy as a topping, but good to see that there are some out there. So, it's a little sensitive, the meter's a little sensitive on the anchovy question. Now, there is a second meter that goes along with this. And that second meter is to show how much the question actually analyzes how much this question really matters, right? What difference does it make? All right, so we're gonna try this again. We got the mushroom, pepperoni, sausage people. Yeah, not much discomfort. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't matter. You order what you want. You take what you want when it's in the box. And now we go with the anchovies. Okay, a lot of discomfort there from some people on the anchovies. But does it really matter? No, you don't order anchovies, or you don't eat the anchovy pizza if you don't want it. All right. Next question. It's a cola question. Pepsi people out there? Coke? All right. Whoa. Okay. Whoa. William's the big Coca-Cola drinker. All right. So a little bit more discomfort. Anybody who might remember from the 80s, the cola wars, the big cola wars from the 80s, got pretty heated and even wound up in a Billy Joel song. Rock and roll cola wars, we can't take it anymore. So a little bit of discomfort, but again, does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. You just order the soda that you drink, and you don't drink the soda that you don't like. All right, so here we go. Who here was born in the 2000s? Okay, all right. We got our former youth group going on here. All right, the 90s. Who was born in the 90s? Okay. The 80s? Who was born in the 80s? Okay. The 70s? That's me. I'll raise my left hand if this is me. 70s? All right. Well, we'll meet up afterward at the 70s, born in the 70s. 60s? Wow. Okay, we got a lot more 60s. 50s? Wow, we're healthy in the 50s. 40s? Woo! 30s? Oh my goodness, wow. That's applause. Dare I say the 20s? Or if anybody is, dare I say the 20s? No, okay, wow. So, getting into age questions, and some people aren't comfortable with that, so a little more discomfort. But does it matter? No, we're all here in this church today, born over, a span of 70 years, and still able to share a message with each other and share each other's company. All right, so moving on to question number 4. Who here is a registered Democrat? Okay, here we go. You didn't think I was going to stand up here the whole time asking about pizza and soda. We're going to get a little bit of discomfort here. So we've jumped into the yellow. Registered Democrat, independent. I consider myself an independent. Check the meters. Yeah, especially in today's political temperament, it's a little touchy. But again, does it matter? It doesn't matter. We're all here. Well, yes, it matters for society. But in terms of us being with each other, it doesn't matter. We can still live together and live under the same household, live under the same church sanctuary roof. All right, so back to our meters again. Who here is white? Whoop, we're up in the yellow again. Hispanic descent, black, Asian. Yes, thank you for that representation. Doesn't matter that we're not here. It kind of matters that we'd like to see more hands go up on every other one that I mentioned the color. That would be nice to see. All right, so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Who here identifies as straight? Oh, left hand, sorry. Yes, I identify as straight. Gay, bisexual. Starting to get a little more uncomfortable, right? We're into the red now. Able-bodied, disabled. Anyone disabled? Yeah. And again, does this matter? No, it doesn't matter. We are all here under the same roof. We all share each other's company. We are friends. We are family. There was a time, however, in the 19th century England, that anyone who was disabled or had any mental incapacity was thrown into the booming business of mental asylums, left there to suffer in silence simply because of the discomfort that it brought to others. It was, let me get them out of my sight, let me get them off of the streets, let me get them into this institution where I don't have to deal with my own discomfort. It's easier to deal with the discomfort at an outside level than to deal with the discomfort at an inside level. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Japanese living in America were suspected of espionage, and many were incarcerated in internment camps. 120,000 people in internment camps, 2/3 of which were American citizens placed in internment camps. My friend Dan Kumota's grandmother was among them. Can you imagine being pulled from your home in jail for upwards of 3 years simply because of your ethnicity? And we all know our own horrific past of enslaving and selling Africans. Even after the emancipation, we've still endured 137 years of mistreatment, racism, and discomfort against people of color. And for those who don't think that is the case, who think that ended with when slavery ended or it ended with the Civil Rights Act, there's a test for that. There's a simple test for that. We can actually do it right now. So what I'd like is a participation one. So if you could all hold out your left arm, no, you're facing me. Hold out your right arm, all right, and bend it at a 90-degree angle, and then hold it up in front of you. So kind of like you're looking at your watch, but in the middle portion. All right. So find the crease, like between your wrist and your elbow. Has everyone got that now? All right. If that patch, the skin is white, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like we're all wearing a skin suit of uniforms for a team that's never going to know how racism really affects people and can really affect you. This manifests in other non-visible ways with able-bodied or those with mental disabilities or those who are transgender, gay, bisexual. It's really no difference, and it shouldn't matter. All right, but let's look at those examples again. Insane asylums, Japanese internment camps, slavery, each stems from a place of people thinking that it mattered. Think back to those meters that we had earlier. When Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, a great discomfort swept this nation. But the reaction of detaining Japanese Americans in jail for years was clearly not the right reaction. We've realized that with time. It was clearly not the sensible reaction. It was a reaction based solely on our perceived notion of how we thought it mattered. We thought that detaining Japanese mattered because it would keep us safe. But it was rooted in our own discomfort. We thought that enslaving and selling humans mattered because it's great for the economy. But it was rooted in our own discomfort that they are not like us. We think forcing someone to go into one bathroom or another matters because of their sex at birth. But that too is rooted in our own discomfort. Some think that preventing 2 women or 2 men from marrying matters because it protects the institution of marriage. But that, again, is rooted in our own discomfort at what we perceive as that. Some are uncomfortable with the Black Lives Matter flag that flies outside hanging on these doors, or the Pride flag. But it's not about any one organization, the Black Lives Matter flag. It's about the meaning of the movement, the message. You know, it gets me when people say things like, well, all lives matter, when we say Black Lives Matter. But sure, that's like come this October, and I wear a pink t-shirt that's in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and then someone says to me, well, all cancers matter. Well, okay, that's not really my point. There's a unique struggle that happens in the breast cancer awareness and metastatic breast cancer that's individual to their struggle and their issues, independent of other cancers. Similarly, Black Lives Matter is a rallying cry for everyone to address the unique issues and struggles that people of color are facing right now. If that makes you uncomfortable, I recommend you look inward to deal with that discomfort, instead of looking for a solution outward and expecting the change to happen there to match your comfort level. One of the great things that I remember that the Reverend Kurt Johnson said from this pulpit was, change is not supposed to be comfortable. Change is not supposed to be comfortable. So here's my challenge. Seek out those things that make you uncomfortable and face them. Challenge them. Call that member of your family who's gay and tell them that you love them as they are. Confront a family member who wronged you and tell them how they made you feel. Give your parent or give your child a big old hug, even if they don't want one, and believe your children likely won't want one. Tell your spouse how you're feeling, how you're really feeling, the hurt, the pain, and the joy. Invite a friend to this church. Invite a friend of color to this church. When you seek out those things that make you uncomfortable, you'll find that the things you thought mattered a lot really do not matter that much. For example, all right, can I see those Giants fans again? And now the Jets fans? I'm an Eagles fan, okay. You don't like the same team, but does it matter? You're still friends. You can still go to the game, you can still have a beer and a hot dog and complain about your teams. We can order a pizza with half pepperoni and half mushroom. They can live in the same box. It happens all the time, it doesn't matter. We prosper when we're surrounded by difference. You've already chosen to hang out with people who are nothing like you. They're called your spouse. And they are with you because you're nothing like them. Can you imagine being married to you? Good Lord. Your spouse can barely tolerate you. There's no way you would tolerate you. And for anyone out there who's with a woman, believe me, she's barely hanging on. You've got to keep it together. So embrace the difference. We do better with difference in our lives. Our nation prospers not because we're the same, but because we're a melting pot of different races, different religions, different ethnicities, different genders, different sexualities, different abilities, and different opinions. The greatness that people claim in America, that's where it came from. It's not because they're the same. That's boring. Embrace that difference and be good in a world that feels forever bad. Be the righteous in a world that feels unrighteous or unjust. Because if the Lord sees just one righteous person, he will spare the city, spare the world. And this is why we should be living in difference and not living in difference.